Hello everyone, we're just gonna wait a couple more minutes until more people join us. Okay, I think we can start now. Antonio, if I can just ask you to mute your microphone. Thank you. Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Yana Pargova and I'm the Communication Manager for the Smart Cities Information System. The topic today is provision of data and results to the Smart Cities Information System. Our speaker is Antonio Garrido Marijuan. Some of you may know him from our first webinar. Antonio is working in the Energy Department of the Austrian Institute of Technology. His work for the Smart Cities Information System is the analysis and visualization of data, and he has been involved in developing the online self-reporting tool, which he will present to you today. Antonio will give you a guided tour through the tool and illustrate how you can easily upload data and results from your projects. Before I give the floor to Antonio, I will briefly present to you the Smart Cities Information System for those who are not familiar with the initiative. For the rest, I apologize for the repetition. So just briefly, the Smart Cities Information System was launched by the European Commission with the aim to become a point of reference for the smart cities community, to interconnect all the data and know-how from projects in one place and to make it available for different stakeholders, from cities to project coordinators and experts. The graphic you can see on your screens now illustrates the flow of information and results that come from projects to SCIS and from there to our different stakeholders. What is more, the Smart Cities Information System goes one step further than just presenting project results. We also analyze them, and we believe this is the actual added value of the Smart Cities Information System, because this allows us to establish best practices which enable project developers and cities to learn and replicate, to identify barriers and lessons learned with the aim of finding better solutions for technology implementation and policy development, and to provide recommendations to policymakers on support and policy actions needed to address market gaps. In order to be able to do this analysis, we need the correct data and insights from projects. And to return to the topic of today's webinar, I would like to highlight what are the benefits for you, for the projects to provide results to SCIS. SCIS is a repository of your data and stories. You can think of it as a repository. So a lot of times after a website is finished, after a project is finished, excuse me, the website only exists a year after that. However, if we have all the data in the SCIS, the information won't be lost. In the second place, SCIS is a knowledge base. So by providing your data, you encourage others to do the same and you can learn from each other's experience. SCIS is also a dissemination platform. It provides a space where you can showcase and promote your results, solutions, and insights. And last but not least, SCIS facilitates connecting. So when you're looking for future partners or when other institutions and companies throughout Europe are looking for future partners in projects, they will have all the information about your project and performance. With this, I will give the floor to Antonio Garrido Marijuan, who will present to you the online self-reporting tool. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your control panel, and we will have time to discuss them after the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jana. So thank you all of you for attending this webinar today. And well, before I explain how we provide data, Jan already said why we are providing data, so what are the benefits for you and what we do. So I will explain a little bit more what you can find in our webpage and our information system before I really start to talk about self-reporting. So I guess most of you have already entered our website at least once. You see that we are showing our data based in clustering. So first cluster is the three main pillars of the smart city. This is energy, mobility and transport, and ICT. So all of the data that we got, we cluster in these three topics. Also, we cluster per project, per country, per demo site. So this map, for example, if we go to Spain, to Valladolid, we will find what the projects that are being developed in Valladolid. For example, City 5. We can see some project details of City 5 here. The main key performance indicator. With this, maybe we can also see more information about R2 cities in the same. So more project details that we can find here. Before we go to the place where R2 cities is explained, we will have general information from the total project, who is the contact person, the website, etc., etc. Also, we will find the key performance indicators that we have from this. But of course, we need to rely on real data to provide good insights into the project. And this is what we're going to explain today, how we want to get these projects, how you will provide this data. So as you can see, the information of the project contains visualization of the main outcomes and results of the project, summarized in the KPIs, retrofit flow per area, final energy savings, CO2 that is not emitted to the atmosphere, thank you to the interventions. So we provide this visualization based on real data. And the first thing that we did to develop our work, to develop the self-reporting tool to get the data from projects, is check the work done by Concerto on data collection. We adapt this previous work but improving the process of data collection to make it easier. When we check the work done by Concerto, the main learnings from the past were that there was too much data being asked. Some of this data was really specific for technical details that can be found in technical specification of the product. So we say, okay, we will ask for less data, but we will make sure that less data means more quality of data. So we prefer more with less. So from these findings, we have developed the self-reporting tool that I will go to it right now. So this is the welcome. If you go to our self-reporting tool, this will be the welcome site or the homepage of self-reporting. First, what you have to do is to choose the demo site you're going to report about. So here you will see what projects is on our scope. Of course, I have rights as an administrator, so I can access all of the websites, but when all of the demo sites, but when you're reporting on your project, you will only have access to those concerning your project. In this case, we're going to use the Bertin project in Bilbao, and but all of them will be very similar or mostly the same. Once you are in the welcome page, in the home page, you will provide information on the city where the project is developed. In this case, Bilbao, in north of Spain. First, we will ask for main climate parameters of Bilbao, so heating degree days for design. So, what are the heating degree days for the design data that you're providing? I don't know, 1,000 in this case for the year, whatever. For example, 2011. Heating degree days for the country information. The heating degree days for the monitoring years you are reporting on. So, for example, I'm going to report information on 2 years of monitoring. So I need to know how many there were in the first year, for example, 2011. And for the second year, it's more, 2012. As many as you want, or as less as you want. Also, we will ask for information on cooling degree days for those projects who have an important cooling load. So if your project is developing cooling strategies, we also need this information for design, for country level, and for monitoring. More climatic information about the city, global solar radiation, also financial parameters such as electricity price, gas price, to calculate the payback. Once you have reported on your city, this will be asked only once, and you will start reporting on the field of actions of interventions of your demo site. What do we mean by field of actions or interventions? What we mean the real work that has been done in the city, the buildings that have been constructed, the energy supply units that were deployed, or the mobility actions that were implemented. We have here some examples. So let's say we are reporting 2 new buildings. One is a new office building, one is a new apartment blocks, and then 10 buildings that have been refurbished, 1 school, 4 office buildings, 5 apartments, then some e-vehicle charging stations and a smartphone app. So this is what we did in your demo site in this project. So you have to report 1 new building referring to the new office building, a second new building on the new apartment blocks, refurbished buildings of the school, or 4, and then if you have a refurbishment of 4 office buildings that are the same, you don't have to report 4 different buildings, because if they are the same characteristics, it's enough with reporting 1 building. Also the same for 5 apartment blocks. I want to add that we developed a guide for the self-reporting tool. So everything that I am explaining today is also explained in the guide. This guide will be available soon, as well as the self-reporting that will be available as soon as possible for your feedback. And then we will explain how you can cluster buildings, what are the characteristics of the buildings that can be clustered together, because not all the buildings can be clustered together. But if the buildings are really similar between each other, then you can only add information in 1 building. Okay, so how to add this field of actions? Here you can add as many field of actions as you want. So in this case, I will add cluster name, let's say terminal, and I'm reporting about mobility, information and communication technology. Also about as you can see, you can add as many as you want, or you can delete as many as you want. Then new building. It's type new building. Once the new buildings are, or the buildings are the more complex systems that we are going to report about, because it's not only what kind of building you have, if it's new or if it's renovation, you also have to add what kind of technology is used to supply the building. So let's say you're using a boiler that uses domestic gas from the grid, okay, to provide heating to the building. So you can have here the options, cooling and domestic hot water. Okay, this maybe is not the most usual to have cooling and domestic hot water, but we have everything into account. So this is why we have all the options, heating and cooling and domestic hot water, and so on. So let's say you have a new building called terminal new building that is using a boiler with domestic gas from the grid to provide heating. Then this is how you enter it. Let's say you have more than one technology to supply the building. So you have to say, okay, I also have electrical heating system using electricity to provide heating again, because it's not enough with this one, then you have to add two technologies used to supply the building. But in this case, we will use only one. And also the renewable energy sources that are implemented in the building. In this case, photovoltaic with 10 kilowatts peak. So, and then once you have the main information about the building, we will save it. And the field of actions or the interventions that we just created are already here. So let's see what's there in the new site that is just being created. We go to the new building called webinar of the vaccine project demo site Bilbao. Next, we will ask for the general data of the building. So as I said, normally it would be only one building, but if you have 10 or 20 buildings that are mostly the same because they were constructed in the same year, renovated in the same year, the envelope is the same, and so on, you can say that you have 10 buildings that are the same, and you can provide information on these 10 buildings. Then the number of monitor buildings, because sometimes it's not always all of them are monitored, so let's say only 5 are monitored. They were finished in 2010. Again, this is the same data, so we are talking about the same data. Building type, residential with 100 apartments, 1 square meter, easy numbers. And then we will ask information on the envelope according to national requirements. So what year was the national requirements published? What are the overall average characteristics of the building envelope surfaces for the national requirements and for the demonstration buildings, so both what's in regulation and what has really been implemented. So average characteristics of the facade, ground floor, etc., etc. Then we will ask about what information and communication technologies were deployed in the building, let's say demand response, and neighborhood energy management system. So we create them, what kind of building features were implemented there, so passive ventilation control, for example, but maybe also active sound influx control. This information will be asked only once at the same level, because once you declare it, we don't need it for the monitoring value. So as you see, this reporting is easy to use, self-explanatory, and quite quick to implement. Once we have defined how is our envelope and what kind of features we are using in the building, we will ask information, specific input information for the renewable energy sources. So in this case, how much was designed for the electricity production of the photovoltaic. Then again, financial data for this. So how much was the investment cost, operating cost, grant and subsidies, and feed-in tariff. We need this information for the calculation of the payback and also for replication in the project that want to develop photovoltaic at building level in Bilbao. This information is very important for them. Once we have reports on the design values for the renewable energy sources, we will go to upload information on the boiler. So we have a boiler in this Bemina new building in Bilbao that uses domestic gas to provide only heat. And this is something that I want to explain in detail. So according to the KPI guide that can be found here, so the KPIs that are calculated within the SCIS are how we calculate these KPIs is explained here. You go to the website, to the Smart City website. In the library section, you can find the monitoring guides, and here you can find the key performance indicator guide, where it's explained how we calculate the KPIs. So in this case, okay, so key performance indicator guide, page 21, we have the information on how to calculate primary energy. Primary energy are calculated from the delivered energy per energy carrier, exported energy per energy carrier, primary energy factor, flow area, and so on. This information is mandatory to calculate the KPIs. So delivered energy, it's important that you provide this. Exported energy is important. But for the primary energy factor, these factors can be found in the standards, can be found in different projects or different initiatives. So if you don't provide this value, we are making sure in the self-reporting that some value is already provided. So what's really important is that you provide the final energy input for the domestic gas in the boiler, let's say 10. But if you don't provide the greenhouse gas emissions of the primary energy factor, we will tell you what the value we are using. So either you provide one value, in this case 200, in this case 1, or we will use our value set as default from Eurostat or European standards. This is very important for you to understand that it's okay if you don't provide these factors, but it will be the KPIs that we calculate, they will be more close to reality if you provide all your factors. Okay, then we ask more information about the boiler, so what the total investment cost, grants and subsidies, total energy cost per year, and dynamic payback period. Again, we need you to provide the value in case you have it, in case you have the dynamic payback period for this boiler, and the reference value for payback for normal boilers. And we will calculate the KPI coming from this information. Also, we will ask information on data finally demand for the demonstration buildings and for the savings compared to reference buildings. We are reporting on a new building, so we need you to provide the reference. So what values for the reference? Because otherwise we cannot calculate the savings. Once you provide the information for the final energy input and for the greenhouse emissions, we already can calculate the total greenhouse emissions or CO2 equivalent, CO2 equivalent. In this case, it's 2,000, and we can also calculate the total primary energy demand. In this case, it's 20 kilowatt-hour per square meter a year. This means that from your calculation, we will provide you the KPIs automatically in the self-reporting tool. In case you don't agree with this, you can always provide the value. Okay, it's not 2,000, it's 2,200. This means that based on our calculations and based on our factors, we calculate a value. But when you are not agreed with a value, we can provide your value. I don't know, because it's a different opinion that you have or different way to calculate it, but it should be the same as you have because it's a standard way to calculate KPIs. Again, we need you to provide the economic data for the building in order to calculate the dynamic payback period and the return of investment. If you have already this information for the dynamic payback period, you can provide it. But anyway, we will calculate it. And if you don't agree, we will accept your value. Finalize with the social KPIs. So how many citizens are directly involved in this building and the number of jobs that were created thanks to this work. Then you save it, then you have all your information. And we will go, when you save it, and first, next we will go to the monitoring data. So you have to provide data that is measured in real conditions of use for the year 2011. How many buildings were monitored, what was the electricity production of photovoltaics, and so on and so forth. I think from my side, maybe I was too quick, but I think from my side this is everything I wanted to say. I think it will be more easy if we open questions. The questions can be answered, so maybe it's time to open the questions. I don't know.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Antonio. Just before we open the questions, we already started receiving some of them during the presentations. However, before that, after you saw our demonstration of the self-reporting tool, we also prepared several polls with which we can gather your general opinion for the tool so far. And before launching the polls, I just want to mention that our team has developed the tool after interviews with project and data experts who helped us to make it as easy and as useful as possible. And currently we're also trying to improve its user friendliness before we make it available for you to provide your data. This will happen in December, and let's start the polls now. We have created 5 polls. The first one I'm launching now. So do you think the self-reporting tool is easy to use? Your options are yes, no, it should be improved further. I'm waiting a bit more for everybody to answer. Okay, I'll be closing the poll now. Thank you for voting. The second one launching now. Do you think the SCIS approach, which provides in advance factors and costs based on standards, is well-founded? Yes or no? Okay, I'll be closing this poll now, if anybody else wants to vote. Thank you. The third one. What is your opinion about the automatic calculation and provision of KPIs by SCIS? We've given 3 options. It facilitates the data input for projects. It encourages the projects to provide their own calculation. And it is confusing. The calculations behind are not clear. I'll be closing this one now. If anybody else wants to vote. Thank you. And just 2 more. Do you think the provision of data by projects and its analysis by SCIS will foster replication? Yes or no? I'll be closing this poll now. Thank you. And the last question. The information and minimum requirements of data requested is, and 3 options, enough for future stakeholders to replicate, too much for the projects to report, or not enough. I'll be closing the last question now. Thank you for your feedback. And I encourage you to, in the questions panel, to ask the questions also regarding to the polls, because it showed that some of you think that we ask for too much information or the tool can be further improved. Please type your suggestions or more detailed questions into the questions panel. So now we'll go ahead and discuss the questions that we already have. I will start by some comments from Olaf Gert Gemein, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your names incorrectly. So he told that this demonstration was a bit too specific and specifically for energy specialists. So his question is our system designed to talk about only buildings and to gather data about buildings, or the whole system? Yeah, this is the question. The whole system supports only buildings, or, Antonio?
So you can hear me now, right? Okay, so the thing is that we, yes, we are somehow specific, but we want to replicate projects. So some information needs to be specific for other urban planners, other architects, other technicians to replicate. We need to know how much money was spent per square meter, how much energy could be saved per euro that we spend. I think it's true that it's very specific, but we are asking for information that is there, that all the projects that we have talked to are monitoring. So this info is there, it's monitored and can be provided because it's on the project. No, the self-reporting is not only for buildings, but buildings are the most complex system that we will ask information about. We will also ask information on mobility, on energy supply units, and on mobility and transport interventions. In this case, if we go to the ICT page, we will see that we are asking about peak load, difference between maximum and minimum energy that is saved thanks to the ICT technologies, how much reduction of primary use we have thanks to the ICT, and so on and so forth. So no, it's not only for buildings. About the clustering, yes, it is true that the buildings can be clustered, but also mobility can be clustered. So we will ask how many cars were implemented or deployed, how many bikes, cars, how much were public. So it's not only the buildings that can be clustered. I don't know if I answer Olaf's questions, but I hope I did.
I think you generally did. He suggests that we also look at environmental data, GIS data, social data. If you want to scale, you need more, is Olaf's comment. Maybe you want to add something?
This is something that we can check and discuss. This is mainly focused on. Yes, the answer will be yes. We will check if we can include this information. And anyway, we are including context information on the. So if we go to the project. If you go to the page of any project, in this case project Active Cities, we are explaining how they did everything, how many people were involved, and the social benefits from this. So yes, we will also include context information that involves social and environmental. And about environmental, we also are calculating greenhouse gas emissions that were not emitted to the atmosphere, so it's also environmental information.
Okay, thank you, Antonio. Olaf, I don't know if we managed to answer your questions. You also made a comment that it needs to be more user-friendly. Yes, we are doing that. That's why we are doing this webinar at this stage. So we would like to improve the user-friendliness of the self-reporting tool in general.
Yeah, we want to have a really sound approach to develop this, so really technical basis behind. So it's true that right now it's not the best or most user-friendly tool that we know, but we want to have a really technical background behind. And once we have, once we are sure that this technical basis is there and it's right, we will improve the user friendly. That I have to agree that it's not the best right now.
Yes, we all agree. So we can continue this discussion later on. I will move to the other questions that we received. So Maria Luisa Mirantes Lopez is asking, is there some kind of web service to ease data input?
Well, this is a web service that asks you for data. I'm not really sure what she means, so maybe she can make a longer question so I can understand, because this is the web service where information is self-report, but I'm not really sure what she means.
She probably means API to import content easily. I'm getting some technical support from a colleague. And now, yes, this is what she means. She says data input seems to be just manual through the form. Is it possible to have an API to fill in the form?
What we have discussed this with projects, and it's true that some of the projects already have their own platforms where they collect this data, and this data could be easily uploaded in a different form. So we are also analyzing this, and we will have an answer soon, but not at this stage. But anyway, this process is quite easy and quite straightforward. I think, of course, it could be improved, but at the moment, this is the web service that we have.
Okay, thank you, Antonio. So the answer is yes, we're looking into adding this option to make it even easier. So if we move to the next question from Cecilia Sanz Montalvillo. Is it possible, her question is it possible to send the raw data from their monitoring platforms, or is it necessary to fill the files data by data?
I think it goes in the same direction as the last question, so I think I answered both questions at the same time. It will be explore. It will be check how the users have to understand that there are really different platforms in different projects. So we are having scope more than 40 projects, and connecting to all the monitoring platforms in a standardized ways. I think it's quite demanding, I would say. So I would say right now it's not there. It could be there. We will explore it, but right now I cannot give a guess. A definite guess that it will be done in an automatic loop way between our database and the project database, because there are too many projects that have different standards and different languages. So we are exploring it, but we cannot give a definite answer.
Okay, thank you, Antonio. Cecilia, if you have any follow-up questions. So I'm seeing another question by Sabine Putz. She's asking how mandatory entry fields can be distinguished from other entry fields.
With the fields that we have, we as a smart city information system rely on project data. How mandatory this data is? Okay, in the basis of the calls of the smart city projects and so on, it says that the projects must collaborate with the smart city information system in order to foster replication. The data we're asking, it's really minimum requirements of data. I think all of them, it's important. All of them should be fulfilled, and as no mandatory fields exist, but more information will mean more replication, and we really encourage the projects to provide as much data as possible. So there are no mandatory fields, but all of them, it's important for the replication. So of course, if the projects have no cooling load, they don't have to provide cooling data. If the projects are not using or not, they don't have information about the envelope. I don't know why, but maybe they don't have information about the envelope. No, we will not expect the information about the envelope. But again, the more information, the more easy it's for other projects to replicate. So this is my answer.
Okay, thank you, Antonio, for this. I think it made it clear. And if we move to the next question, again.
I see also from Sabine, it says how to ensure to get all economical data from the projects without harming businesses of companies. The data we're asking for, it's financed by public money, so by the European Commission. So I think this is as public money has to be open data. So what we're asking has to be reported anyway. We are not asking for any economical data that can harm businesses because this is public money. This is what we're asking about, not anything that is private business or something like that.
Okay, thank you for that, Antonio. I see another question by Cecilia that can probably be helpful for everybody. Could you explain more in detail the way to collect data?
If she means the way to collect them, like monitor the project, we have a monitoring. We have monitoring guides where we explain. So in the technical monitoring guide here, we explain how to monitor the projects, how to set the baseline and the reference, what kind of data should be recorded in what time period, and so on and so forth. So this is the information. How to collect this information will be in this technical monitoring guide.
Cecilia, I hope this answers your question. Please write a follow-up question if it didn't. Returning to your previous answer from Sabine, she adds that in case of heat delivery price, it is difficult. This is related to the economic data.
Yeah, with the data that cannot be provided for some reason, then if it's not possible, it's not possible. We just ask for those data that can be recorded or that can be collected in an easy way. We cannot expect things that are not easily collected. We understand that.
Okay.
But anyway, we have a standard. So, for example, if the project don't provide the electricity cost, we will use European average values. So, in this case, that no heat delivery price can be provided, we will we will use gas prices and so on and so forth.
Thanks, Antonio. For the next question from Martin Grabner, is it possible to see how it works for a whole, I think Martin means, he says quarter, I believe it means a neighborhood, like a district. Is there examples of pilot projects?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Is it possible to see how this works for a whole quarter? Is there examples? Are there examples of pilot projects? Martin, if you can just confirm if you mean a whole district? Yes, Martin means city district. So is it possible to see how this works for a whole city district? Are there examples or pilot projects that we can
Well,
demonstrate online?
for not there is not right now any demo for district, but if in case they want to report on a district, they will have to provide data on all the buildings that were retrofit for this or renovated or constructed newly for that district, how many energy systems were deployed, the new ones, not the ones that are already there, how many mobility actions were there. So this is the way to report on a building. Reporting on the individual technologies.
Martin, do you have follow-up to Antonio's answer? Okay, maybe it will come a bit later. In the meantime, I'm moving to the next question from, so Martin asks, would it work for districts, the self-reporting tool?
It will work for districts, if they report on individual technologies that are in the district, because in other case, no replication will be possible.
Okay, I think this answers the question. The next question from Felix Larinaga. Is there an account we could use to play with the application and give better feedback?
Yes, we will provide this shortly, I think in next week. So that would be very appreciated if people can play around the self-reporting tool and give us feedback.
Yes, it's important to mention that this is still not finalized, the tool, and we really appreciate your feedback. So be as honest as possible. I'm moving to the next question. Sorry, because we took some questions earlier. They were connected. So we have a question from Ernst Jan de Plas Hansen, which is, when will the online tool be accessible? I understood it will be sometimes in December.
Yeah, as I said, it will be shortly, hopefully the next week, it will be possible to already see and play with the website, with the self-reporting tool to give feedback, but probably will not be open to report already on the data for the projects. But yes, it will be next week or the next one.
Okay, thanks, Antonio. Do you have any more questions? We're happy and we still have some time to answer them.
I see one of the questions that we didn't answer is that the project seems to be built on methods that take on board the user on the very beginning. But yes, we base our developments on the projects that have been developed in Europe. These projects have to foster the replications, have to disseminate the added value. So yes, we take the user on board because we don't have information. We just get and collect information from projects and give it to the general public. So of course we need the information from projects. We need the work from projects to collect information, to have information to base our information system on.
Thank you, Antonio, for clarifying this as well. So no more questions, and please feel free to ask your questions via email as well, or we are open for talks with each of you to get your feedback in more details. Antonio, do you want to add something?
No, thank you for the feedback, and we will take this into account and further feedback that is sent to us via email or private meetings. Anything we can talk.
Okay, great. Everybody, thank you for joining us today. We will send you the recording of the webinar, and as we both said, if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you. Have a nice day.